Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kings of Fantasy Football. To our listeners, I know it's been a while, but we are back this week. So, in today's episode, we are going to discuss waiver wires. Been a hectic fantasy football season so far. Hopefully, if you were able to stay away from the injury bug, congrats to you because you're probably in first place. You haven't had to deal with injuries. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to start off with quarterbacks. So the first quarterback is was a surprise to me, but with the record, I think they didn't see another option. So first quarterback, if you need one, especially in the two QB league, that's going to be Drake May. He did pretty well for his first outing last week. Went up against the Texans. He still managed to get 3 touchdowns, around 28 points. So definitely in the two QB league, or you need maybe some depth in that one QB league, assuming that there's no one else. I'll go for Drake May. I showed some good flashes. Um, who would you go for as far as QB, Leo?
Yeah, he was the he was my number one guy to go for sure. He came out of nowhere. It was good to see that they finally gave him a chance to play. And yeah, no, he produced well, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns. So definitely someone to grab for sure. My next guy to get is someone that we've been on before, on all year, but being that he was on a bye, um some teams had to, drop him, and that's Sam Darnold. He was he's 60% roster right now. And one of the leagues I actually had to drop him too because I had a lot of injuries and stuff like that. So I had to, so I had to drop him in one of my leagues. So definitely he's out there, and he's definitely to someone to look at. He's coming off a bye, and he's gonna be getting T.J. Hawkinson back soon. So to go along with Jefferson and Addison, so he's gonna have definitely a lot of weapons to go for heading forward, moving forward.
Yeah, I was hearing that he actually traveled with the team to London, and that he might be able to even suit up this week. So yeah, definitely he gets Hawkinson back. I think that's just going to add to what he's been doing so far this year. Um, Another QB, and again, this is more for two QB leagues, assuming that he does start. Not 100% confirmed, but Mike Tomlin has already speculated that Russell Wilson might start. And again, this is more of a two QB league, because they're a lot more valuable. Um, I don't think that's the best choice for the Steelers. I mean, you're 4-2. I think Justin Fields has been doing well, so hopefully it doesn't backfire. But again, if you need a quarterback, 8% rostered, again, more for a 2 QB league, it's Russell Wilson. Who's your next guy?
Yeah, no, it looks like he's gonna take some first team reps this week. So it looks like they're gonna, you know, Tomlin wants to make things interesting in Pittsburgh. So that's gonna be interesting. My next guy to go for is Geno Smith. He threw for over 300 yards, but then he could have had another couple of touchdowns this past week. But one and both of them was gonna go to DK Metcalf, but one of the plays he was called back on a penalty, and the other one that his toe, DK Metcalf's toe, was right on the line, so he could have had a phenomenal day this past week. So this week, they're gonna be playing up against the Falcons, which should be a shootout, and he's he's fairly rostered in a 50 something percent, so you should be able to have a chance to grab him if he's still there.
Yeah, I was watching that game again, man. Those toes. I don't know if it was Mahomes that said it back in week one. You got to wear different cleats, man, because these toe touchdowns are getting really common.
Game of inches, right?
But yeah, huh?
Game of inches, right? That's what they say.
Right. And yeah, I'm sure all the DK owners, you know, or people that bet on him were really shocked. But yeah, I like Juno. I think he's been doing well. So I agree with that. So moving on to running backs. Um, the running back that I would keep an eye on. I don't know if I would pick him up just yet, especially if Rashad White comes back. I was a little upset because I was a Bucky Irving owner, and I'm like, bro, what is happening? That's gonna be Sean Tucker, from Tampa Bay. I don't need. It says 0% rostered for me, which is probably true. So Rashad White is out again. Even though most of Sean's points came in garbage time, but I think those reps probably earned him some touches, assuming again that Rashad White is out. So that's somebody to keep an eye on because he had he had a really good game. So that's
Yeah, yeah, he came out of nowhere. He was a rookie last year, and he was in the depth chart. And last year, some some experts were high on him, but they really never gave him a chance. But being this year that he had a chance, and he came through. Irving also had a good game this past week too. He had a 64% snap share, ran for 81 yards, touchdown, and had a couple of receptions. So they were both used. It's just uh, pretty much a timeshare between them two. The My first running back to go for is actually I'm gonna go with Tyrone Tracy. Last couple of weeks he's been phenomenal for fantasy managers with Devin Singletary being out injured for the last couple of weeks. Tracy's come through for the for you. He's had a double digit points fantasy points, 20 points per game, averaging, and that's Singletary will probably eventually come back, but I think Tracy's done enough that he's gonna have a timeshare going forward. So definitely someone to look at. Right now he's 55% rostered, and yeah, when he first got the chance a couple of weeks ago in week 5, he ended up with 19 fantasy points. That he rushed 18 times for 129 yards, and this past week he rushed 17 times with and 50 yards, and he also had 6 receptions for 57 yards. So he's a dual threat player, and so definitely someone to look at if you're needing some running back help, like most of us do.
yeah. I'm a Singletary owner, so yeah, if I had the roster space, definitely would have picked up Tracy. Um, I think he did well, or he's been doing well in Singletary's absence. The next running back that I would go after, this is assuming that Jordan Mason is out, would be Isaac Guerrero, rostered in only 5% of leagues. Um, I think he looked really good. He could have had that long touchdown, but he chose to not score. Debo made the comment that if I was him, I would have scored. And I mean, he just looked good. Um, so I think, you know, if Jordan Mason's out, he's going to be catapulted into the running back one. I know they use Debo sometimes at running back, but I don't think that it'll be too many carries. Um, and I'm going to pull in Adam Shefton here and breaking news, and I think I would pick him up, especially um, the Vikings just acquired Cam Akers, so
Yeah.
um, I would definitely pick him up if they're gonna use him. And with that offense, especially the offensive mind of the head coach, I think I would do a waiver for him tonight.
Yeah, Aaron Jones is injured. We don't know what's maybe that's the reason why they did a move. We don't know what's the extent that he was on bye last week, so there hasn't been much information on his status. So intriguing move with he did play with them a couple years ago, so he might should be familiar with a little bit with the offense, and that's a good move for them. Ty Chandler, forget about Ty Chandler. I was gonna mention him, so forget about that. Scratch that one. So one the next running back I wanted to talk about is Tyler Algier. He's been a thorn in the side for all the Bijan Robinson's fantasy managers out there. This past week, he did a rock solid 18 attempts, rushing attempts for 105 yards and a touchdown. He's been definitely someone that you can use in a like, especially now in the buys. If you need someone in the flex or whatever, and God forbid Bijan goes down. Algier proved in his rookie year before Bijan joined that he can carry the rock and the load by himself. So definitely someone to grab to have on your team. Um, he's 40% rostered and definitely someone to pick up if you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and go after him in both leagues, but who knows? Like you said, been a thorn in the beach on manager sides. Looks like they're gonna continue to use that 1-2 punch. Um, so definitely like that move. Moving on to wide receivers.
I have one more if
One
if
more.
you're gonna
Okay.
if we have the
Yeah.
receivers. So one guy to maybe look at in a little bit deeper leagues. I was able to get him before he played this past week. Is Kimani Vidal. Uh, uh, J.K. Dobbins has been a stud so far this year, and Vidal came in with the reason why it's someone to pick up because Gus Edwards is on IR right now, and he came in and scored a touchdown on a wheel route. He's a 15.3% roster, so and like we've talked about before, Dobbins is a beast, but he's also had some injury issues in the past. So God forbid something happens to him, Vidal might be in line. He's a dual threat player, so someone to look at.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about that as a J.K. Dobbins owner. Man, if I just had the roster space, I would definitely have both of them, but currently do not. But yeah, Vidal looked really good. He reminded me like an old Austin Eckler because of his build and stuff,
Yeah,
or young Austin Eckler, I should say. Moving on to wide receivers. Even though they have a bye this week, he's looking kind of like his old self, and that's Juju Smith's 33% rostered. Now that Rice is on IR, um, he was getting a lot of the targets, even with Xavier Worthy there. Um, he had 130 yards, 7 catches. So, if you need some wide receivers, I would go after Juju. Who would you target?
yeah, Juju's he's um he's definitely someone to get for sure. Being that he was on a bye, he was kind of like hidden. People, with all the buys going on and injuries, he kind of like went under the radar. So yeah, definitely a nice pick there. Um, this next receiver I'm gonna go for is I got two, but one I'm gonna mention him really quick because Josh Downs, he's 67% rostered. If he's there, someone to grab. He he's been doing really really well with Joe Flacco in the behind center, but Richardson's supposed to be coming back, but he also did well with Richardson. So I think out of all the receivers that they have, I think he can play with both. The first uh, receiver I want to try to go for if you and also you should is Demario Douglas. He's a 13.1% rostered with the Patriots. With May coming in, he was like his go-to receiver, and he did very very well. So definitely someone to go for if you can.
Yeah, I agree with Douglas. He looked good. Um, Especially now that May is going to be the QB moving forward. I think he looked well. Um, Now this next guy, I don't know if he's gonna do this on an every week basis, but I just think because of the offense, he has good upside. It's gonna be Romeo Dobbs of the Packers, rostered in 51% of leagues. He scored 2 touchdowns, so I don't know if he's gonna be getting that kind of catch to touchdown ratio. But just because of that offense, looks high powered. Um, and Love looks like he is going to be spreading the ball around. I had Wicks, and I'm like, thought or not, I would have wished I had Dobbs instead. So that's the next receiver that I would go after. Romeo Dobbs of the Packers, and 51% rostered. Who's your next target?
His one of his next targets, actually one of his teammates, is Christian Watson. He came back and scored in his return. Obviously, we know his hamstring issues. It's a sensitive subject with the guy, but he came back and he scored. The Dontavian Wicks, he's gonna be out for a bit with an injury of his own. So basically, with him out, Watson should come in and fill that void. Hopefully, he stays healthy. He was targeted 4 times, brought in 3 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. So definitely someone to look at for sure.
Right. Any other receivers before we move on to tight ends?
Yeah, I got a couple more. I got Xavier Leggett that he's in 3 of the last 4 weeks he's done well with Mr. Dalton in the behind center for the with the with the Panthers. So someone to get there. Someone that's been kind of like forgotten with the Ravens, but he's also come through in the last couple of weeks. Rashad Bateman. Over the last couple of weeks, he's had well, the last 4 weeks he's had 60% uh snap share, and over the last couple of weeks he was targeted 8 times, and 4 times he's come in 4 receptions with each week. And last week he had 2 weeks ago he had 58 yards, and last week 71. So he has been coming strong with like I said, this is more of a deeper guy to look at. And then in deeper leagues, Ricky Parasol with the 49ers, he might be activated soon. So just someone to stash there and like in deeper leagues too.
Yeah, I like Bateman. I feel like you know, he's more of a sleeper guy. Not too flashy, but his receptions tend to be long. He wants more of a naive type receiver. So I agree with that. Moving on to tight ends. Um, the first tight end that I would go after. Um, you've talked about him before. Again, in this tight end world, just any points to me, and he's had no game with 0 points, which can't be said for all the tight ends in the league. That's going to be Noah Fant of the Seahawks, 20% rostered. He had his best game of the season last week against the Niners, so that is the first tight end that I would go after. What about you?
All right. Before I talk about my first tight end, just a couple tight ends just to make sure that they're not there. One is Everett Ingram. I was actually able to pick him up this past week. He was there. People were fed up with the way he started with injuries, and didn't hardly produce. So he's someone to look to see if by chance he's there, 75% rostered. And also T.J. Hawkinson. He's about to come back off IR, and he's 72% rostered. So just a couple guys there. Um, so one guy to look at to go for is David Njoku. That's the one I will try to go after this week. He's 65%, 65, 66% percent rostered right now. Main reason why I would try to go after him is that today, the Browns just traded away Cooper, and that's gonna open up a lot more targets to be available. And Juco, even though he came back recently from an injury, he was in his first game back, he was already targeted 7 times, and he brought in 5 receptions for 31 yards. So he gave you a nine fantasy points, which is basically all you can ask for these days in the tight end position because it's been a total dumpster fire, as they say. So definitely someone to look for if he's available. Try to grab him. Because like I said, a lot of fantasy managers dropped him because they were fed up with his start, and so he might be lingering there in your waiver wire.
All right. The next tight end that I would target, I had him at some point earlier this season, dropped him, but he had 13 targets last week and against the Packers, um, or week 5, sorry, against the Packers, and that is Colby Parkinson. So again, as we've been saying, anything over 0 points because there's been a lot of weeks where high-profile tight ends have had 0 points, 23% rostered. So that's the next tight end that I would go after, and I do like that you mentioned, about Ingram and Hawkinson. I was even debating um, of going after some of them, um, and I hope you're right about Njoku because I actually own him in one of my leagues. So I hope he gets all the targets now that Cooper's gone.
Yeah, there's a good chance. So let's see. Um, so my next guy is someone in your backyard, Dalton Schultz. He's a little bit more rostered at 69%, but he's been targeted 6 times and 8 times the last couple of weeks. Now with Nico Collins out, definitely there's be a ton of targets available. So someone to look at there. I have a couple other guys whenever you're done. If you have one more, cool. If not, I have a couple more after that.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. After that, um, is being like we've been talking about. It looks like this is like a Patriot games, a fantasy type of week. Hunter Henry, he's someone to look at too. He's a 25% 7% rostered. He had a nice game this past week with a new quarterback in town, Drake May, and that should continue. Moving forward, rookie quarterbacks like their security blankets with a tight end. So this past week he targeted him 5 times, and Henry came through with 3 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown. So like I said, the offense does seem to be moving more, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they and the good thing about this week they're gonna play Jacksonville. So all these guys that like Pablo was saying with Drake May, uh, Henry, and Douglas, maybe even Jalen Polk. All those guys, they might have a nice week this week because Jacksonville blows on defense. Then one last guy, it's a look a little bit deeper, is Zach Ertz. He still continues to get targeted with Jaden Daniels. It's a good offense, and like I said, if you're in a bind with tight end or whatever, he should give you 8 to 10 points. Like I said, sometimes that's all you need to get through the week.
All right, moving on to defenses. First defense that I would go after if you're like a lot of people who just pick up defenses, every week depending on the matchup. Maybe the Bengals rostering 8%, and they're facing Cleveland, and I don't know how Deshaun Watson is still a starting quarterback in the NFL. And then now losing Cooper. I know Chubb's going to be back, but I don't think he's going to be utilized, like 20, 30 times on his first game back. So I would go after the Bengals. What about you, Yo?
Yeah, it's a good pick there for sure. I had him as one of my defenses. The one defense I'm gonna probably go after. Luckily in a couple of my leagues I have Minnesota, so I'm good. But if you don't, one team to look at is Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills. This week they're gonna be playing Tennessee. They're 70, even though they're 76% rostered, some people have kind of like let them, they haven't really added them. In a couple of my leagues, they're still available there to pick up. So, they're playing Tennessee, which they turned the ball over a lot this year. Will Levis. So definitely someone to pick up, for sure.
I agree. Now the next defense that I'm going to mention, the majority of the points came from the touchdown they scored, but the fact that it was such a high scoring game and they still ended up with 11 points is crazy to me, and that's the Saints, 16% rostered. They play at home versus Denver on Thursday, and I don't know about Bo Nix, but he's having like enough up and down season so far. So I would go for the Saints as a streaming defense. Any other defense you got?
Um, Not really. The like I said, the Bengals were my other defense that I wanted to talk about. Like if you're in a little bit of a deeper league, or kind of in a bind, maybe we can, you can go for maybe with Philadelphia. They're playing the Giants. Daniel Jones, he does make, does turn the ball over a little bit too much for my liking. Uh, so that's just someone to, maybe to look at there.
Right. A lot of moves today as far as receivers. Well, Devontae Adams going back with his QB
Yeah.
and Aaron Rodgers, so we'll see how that goes. And then Cooper going to the Bills, and now Akers to the Vikings. So a lot of players moving. Some that you want to keep an eye on as fantasy managers. That being said, thank you everyone for tuning in. I know we've been MIA for a while, but we're going to try and get back into a rhythm. If you have any questions, you can reach me on X, and that is at Arch Reaper. We will try and live stream the next episode this week. So be tuned in for that. Leo, where can they reach you if you have questions?
Yeah, if they want to reach me, they could reach me on X at smooth1074. And feel free to ask me any questions, with trade or start sit. Always happy to help. Thanks so much for listening. If you like the show, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. It helps us out. We really appreciate you all listening, and good luck this week.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace.